Welcome back. This is the last video of the Cloud Native Essentials tutorial. This step is on policy with OPA or Open Policy Agent and Gatekeeper. Open Policy Agent is a CNCF graduated project. It is a policy engine which allows you to write policy as code, and OPA is used to enforce policies in cloud native environments. Gatekeeper is a customizable admission webhook which enforces policies executed by OPA. In my opinion, it is easier with gatekeepers to customize admission control configuration much easier. So with Gatekeeper, with OPA Gatekeeper, we can enforce policies like making sure that your containers do not allow privilege escalation, or that your container images must be pulled from specific registries like your organization's container registry. So for the first step here, we're going to add the Gatekeeper Helm repository. Next, we're going to install Gatekeeper in the namespace Gatekeeper system. And as this is installing, with Gatekeeper, it does use the constraint framework. So with a constraint, it's a declaration of a policy. So for the examples below, we are going to create a constraint that requires a specific label for a namespace. Before we can use a constraint, we actually have to use a constraint template. And the constraint template actually has the Rego code that defines and enforces the policy. It also defines the input parameters. So first step here, we are going to create a constraint template here that we're going to call Kate's required labels. If you take a look here, it will give us a warning if a label is missing. We do not specify which label we want yet until the next step here. We also do not specify the resource yet for this policy to be enforced. So the next step here is to create the constraint. With the constraint, the constraint enforces the constraint template. So with the constraint here, we specify additional factors to apply this policy. So with this constraint, it uses the constraint template that we just created, and we also apply it to the kind namespace. So this constraint will be used to enforce on namespaces. The required label we are setting is owner. So we want to know who the owner of the namespace when an admin or when an operator creates a namespace. So let's create this constraint. So once that's done, let's test this constraint. So we are going to test we are going to create a namespace with the label of owner equals you. So we do expect this namespace to be created, and we see that namespace created. The next test here is for a namespace without any labels. So this namespace here, we do expect it to be rejected. And we get an error here. It says error from server, forbidden error when creating standard in admission webhook validation, denied the request that you must provide a label of owner. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the time to go through this Cloud Native Essentials tutorial with us, and thank you once again.